After you have driven all over town and you've met with 100 people, you finally found some deals, okay? You found some houses and some properties and some sellers that have all the markers that are ready to sell and you can do business on. Now, you're going to have to negotiate. All right, you're going to have to negotiate prices. You have to understand the numbers. You have to understand the price of the house, and you have to price everything right so it's an attractive offer to the seller, and then it's an attractive offer to the buyer that you're eventually going to sell it to, okay? And so the only way that you're ever going to make any money doing this is knowing your numbers and being able to negotiate so you can sell that price to the seller and sell that price to a buyer, and you can make some profit in between. If you get this wrong, you are completely screwed, okay? You will lose money, and you'll end up owing credit card companies for something that never actually came to fruition. It's also brutal. I've been there too. But it gets worse. Negotiating has two parts, all right? And this is another little nugget that a lot of these gurus aren't going to tell you. There's two parts to negotiating, okay? Everybody talks about price, 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 price. Why? Because this business is full of greedy people, and that's all they care about. That's all they think about. Money, 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 money. Well, I mean, I can give them some leeway because money, cash money, is the lifeblood of this business. But if you're not talking about people and how to relate to people, you're never going to make any money, okay? The people part comes first. So there are two parts to negotiating. The first part is it's not price. The first part is the personal part, all right? You have to negotiate personally with the seller to do business with you, and then you have to negotiate price, okay? I'll repeat that. You have to negotiate personally with the seller to even do business with you, and then you can negotiate price, okay? Negotiation is a topic that I can't cover here. It's an art and a skill that some gurus charge thousands of dollars teaching people how to negotiate with sellers, and not negotiating on price, all right? That's actually the easy part. We're talking about negotiating, just working on the personal and financial issues with the seller to convince them of two things, all right? A, why they should sell to a wholesaler. Most people are resistant to this. And B, why that wholesaler should be you. All right. Your sellers typically will have received a dozen yellow letters and phone calls before you even get there. All right. I've been there personally. I've walked into somebody's house. I'm ready to talk to them, ready to negotiate, ready to be friendly, ready to do all this stuff, figure out what's going on. And then I look on their table, and then my yellow letter is just on a stack of like 11 other yellow letters. All right. They're just whipping through them, calling people, seeing who will call them back, seeing who will show up, seeing who they like, seeing, they're tire kicking, and they're starting to, compare your price with everybody else's price. It's only fair. I would do the same thing, and I'm sure you would too. But you have to be able to relate to that seller in a way that makes them want to do business, not only just with you personally as a person, but also to be able to work with a wholesaler, because most sellers are not hip to the idea of selling for cash to somebody who's just going to turn around and flip their property and make money in between. As a matter of fact, they hate it, which is why you have to lie to them. Okay, you got to lie to them. That's what wholesaling is. It's representing yourself as something that you're not. Okay, most people, wholesalers, aren't walking in and saying, "Hey, I'm a wholesaler. I'm gonna get a contract. I'm gonna have you sign a legal contract with me, and which will tie up your house. Okay, the house that you live in, that you depend on, that you've been paying for your whole life. I'm gonna walk in with a sheet of paper I printed off the internet." And you're going to sign it, and this is going to be a legally binding contract between me and you that you can't sell your house to anybody else, and I have control over this property, tying it up. All right, I've tied up your property with my contract that you've signed, and now I'm going to take this contract, increase the price, and then sell it to somebody else and make money in between. All right. Most wholesalers aren't telling people that. What they're telling people is that they're flippers. Oh yeah, I'm an investor. I'm a real estate investor. Okay. I'm going to buy this property and I'm going to flip it and I'm going to fix it up. It's one of the reasons that drove me out of the business. All right. And I'll explain this down the road as well. You can read it in the book, which I'll also, there's a link to in the bottom. But once I figured out what the game was, what I was getting myself into, it just turned my stomach. But that's for you to decide. You be careful with it, but that's what goes on, okay? So, negotiating. Got to negotiate with the person, figure out what's going on with their life. Then you have to negotiate price. And price is the easy part, believe you me, all right? So, negotiating with a seller requires a lot of mental gymnastics, okay? And I'm serious about this, all right? It requires trust exercises, information weaponization, and Jedi mind influence tricks to bait the seller into the action that you want them to take, all right? You literally have to manipulate these people into taking action. I'm not lying. I am not exaggerating. I'm not making this up. There are entire courses and gurus that will teach you how to do this, and it's scummy. I won't lie. It's just pretty scummy. So most of my personal negotiations that I've been on to buy and sell to purchase real estate, they felt more like a parlor trick act than a purchase negotiation. Okay. I'm getting information, I'm tucking it away, I'm writing stuff down, and I'm figuring out what I can use against them in the back end to tell them, hey, this is why you should sell to me. This is why this is a problem. This is why this is an emergency. You got to sell. It's going to, I can help you with all this stuff. It's kind of crazy. So, well, we can get into those examples later too.